since he wore purple all the time, could we legally call him the Grapist?
Why everyone goes with the Mephisto theories, I was like,
That's
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another fine episode of the Happy 616th Marvel Family Podcast. I am your host, as always, the Funny Hatter. With us today, we have Christopher, the Z-Man. Of course, he likes to go by that. Victor, the X-Man. And today we have a very special guest. This is the form of my mother. She, would you like to go by your regular name or just go by Hatter's mom?
My regular name is fine.
Okay, this is Patricia, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you, Pickle.
Yeah. If you've seen Shaun of the Dead, you'll get that reference. But today is a special episode because this is going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy review. And my mom, especially after figuring out how to ask properly, has asked to come onto the show, and we've decided to schedule her for a Guardians review because my folks really like the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Hey.
So before we get into our official review, we're going to go through a quick summary of what happens in the first movie, and then we're going to go on to our thoughts. So, in the beginning of the movie, we see a small boy that gets abducted by aliens. That's your intro.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I know. I hate it when it happens. This young boy who gets abducted by aliens ends up becoming the somewhat legendary Star-Lord, who is basically kind of like a space pirate that's going around stealing stuff, but ends up stealing something of high importance to our villain known as Ronan the Accuser. Finding this MacGuffin, he ends up joining up with a band of misfits to sell it, not to really do anything about it, just sell it. But they find out that this MacGuffin has some very high amounts of power that the villain wants to use to genocide an entire planet. So they figure out if this guy starts killing planets, he's gonna kill the rest of the universe, and that's no good because I live in it. So the band of misfits come together to stop Ronan the Accuser, and are now known as kind of the saviors of the universe, or more specifically, the Guardians of the Galaxy. This came out in, do you guys remember? I don't exactly have it pulled up.
2014, maybe. Yeah, right after
it's been
Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I remember it came out after Winter Soldier, but I just did not realize how long ago that was.
Almost 7 years. You feel old yet?
I'm starting to. I think I already seen gray hairs on my head.
That's worrying.
Jeez. But I do remember when this came out, this was a surprise smash that caught the attention of everybody, including myself, including my parents, including a lot of everybody else. This was a trick of a hat of James Gunn, who was known for doing smaller movies at the time. I know that he wrote stuff such as the Scooby-Doo movies, the live action
cinema,
ones.
of course.
Look, I'm a man of substance. Dorky chicks like you turn me on too.
Do some things in the pic. It wasn't
Yeah, he did
this.
Super as well. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't this big.
Yeah.
So, since we have our very special guests on today, I would like to hear your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy from your first viewing and the most recent viewing, which was today, on what do you think about the movie?
Okay, so I'm a nerd, and this time that I watched the movie, I went ahead and I took notes. So it's hard for me to remember exactly everything that I thought and felt during the first time that I watched it in the theater. But I do remember that I stayed awake through the entire time, and that was the first time that I stayed awake through one of the Marvel movies in the theater while I watched it.
That's a lie, because she would go through the entirety of any Captain America movie.
Well, no, that's not true, because I always fall asleep whenever they're starting to zip line onto the train. I fall asleep every time.
Don't need that part anyways.
Yeah, but for Guardians, I stayed awake, And I thought that the writing was spectacular. I loved just about everything except for Zoe Saldana. or however you say her name. I cannot get over her playing Gamora. And she just drives me nuts. So even this time, watching it again, I had a lot of issues with her. But yeah, from that point to now, I still enjoy the movie. And I like the characters. I like writing, I like the action, but I do still have questions because Marvel confuses me.
She claims to be a nerd, but it's like when it gets to like the superhero stuff, that's when it gets ultra confusing.
Well, I get confused with all the Infinity Stones and like where they're supposed to be and certain points.
Yeah, this was sort of the
Yeah.
introduction of a lot of these elements, which, you know, surprisingly, they do like a lot of it at once quite well with the interjection of different arcs and plot lines that would be important even beyond the Infinity Saga. So, like, quite an impressive feat for one film to accomplish.
Yeah, that's true.
I do understand because initially adding in Thanos at the end of the first Avengers movie, that was actually just improvised. They wanted to add in something at the end.
It was
yeah, just the purple guy. But they didn't really have a plan on like what they were going to go towards. So them adding in all the Infinity Stones in every other movie, I can see where that can get confusing.
Well, yeah, because they don't introduce them until Guardians when the Collector's talking to them about the what?
Well, I mean,
initially,
not technically, if you're paying attention. So it was in Captain America, first Avenger.
No, but they didn't talk about all the Infinity Stones.
They didn't talk about all the Infinity Stones.
Back then, it was like, keep in mind, Hatter, like back then it was still the Cosmic Cube. Loki's scepter was just
there's
Loki's
the Cosmic
scepter.
Cube, the scepter,
That's true.
the ether.
Well, no, we didn't even. Oh yeah, we did get the ether, but it was a liquid, so like we didn't even get introduced to the stone until the end credits for that.
Yeah, but they mentioned Infinity Stone, but they didn't explain it until Guardians.
Right, until Guardians when the Collector's talking to them about it.
But like,
that's true.
beforehand, before Thor 2 and Guardians 1, that was not really a concept that they were going for, where even in Thor 1, the Infinity Gauntlet had already had all the stones within it in Odin's trophy room, and they had to
I remember that.
retcon later.
Yeah, Taika was like, get that crap out of here.
I remember that. That actually made me laugh really hard when I saw that.
That was good.
So, what you mentioned that you had some questions.
I always have questions when it comes to this, but I do have my list of notes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you wanted for me to like go through my list of notes, or if you
Please, I have
need to
no
go straight to my
notes,
questions.
So, yeah.
I just have my
What?
brain.
I have no trusty notes
You-
because I'm terrible at remembering if I had notes in the first place.
Yeah.
I get an idea. I will have my mom list off some notes, and then you guys just comment on them if you have something similar or you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
I like that.
list them off.
Okay. So the movie starts out the year 1988, which your dad happened to point out to me that he was a freshman in high school at the time. So that's
Hey.
just a nod to your dad. But one of the first things that I have an issue with is the kid's mom. Can I give like spoilers and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine.
So the
I
kid's
mean,
mom
I already
is-
gave a summary to the movie, and if people haven't seen the movie already,
That's pretty integral part of the theme and shit.
He just ran away from home one day, mom's still there, worrying sick.
It's fine.
so
and then he's abducted. But okay, so
Hate it when it happens.
his mom just dies.
Yeah.
There's a room full of people, and his grandfather, who's now supposed to be his guardian,
Yes.
pushes him out of the room.
Well,
leaves this
temporarily
10-year-old
until,
kid.
the alien dad
But
shows
still.
up.
Well, yeah, but see,
yeah.
they didn't even know that the alien dad was coming. He pushes him out of the room and then lets a 10-year-old wander around a hospital, unsupervised, wanders outside where he's abducted by a blue guy.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the point.
And a
of
crew
him,
that wants to eat him.
besides him getting abducted by aliens, he could have just been abducted by humans.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
That's
In hindsight,
fairly
it
easy.
probably
Right.
wasn't the
Ooh,
worst.
free kid.
Then again,
I
what
would not-
muggers are just hanging around hospitals just daily?
Oh,
I got one, boy.
You never know.
And just Michael Rooker without makeup. I got one, boy. I got this boy over here.
That's the ultimate what if that I need. Yondu is just a hospital mugger.
Season 3. It's coming.
well, we did meet him.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Fortunately, he was
Oh.
nice,
Yeah.
and he
Hey.
did give us hugs.
Oh,
So,
that's sweet.
yeah,
I was gonna-
he could have taken Christopher at the time.
Yeah, he could
Sorry,
have.
the Hatter.
That's okay. You could be talking about the other one. No, yeah, I was gonna say that for another Marvel Adventures, but yes, we did indeed get to meet Michael Rooker. He's a very nice guy, very funny too.
So, okay, so I had issues with that. I would not want to leave my child in that type of guardianship when he loses him within the matter of like 5 minutes.
And Michael Rooker's out there.
And Michael Rooker's out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
As pretty as an angel as he is.
So it's not really something that
But,
they can stop. Like, aliens and all.
Yeah. Okay, and then, so moving down my list. So then fast forward to how many years was it? Like 26 years or something like that?
I do agree, though, on the
30-year-old years.
timeline
Okay, yeah.
basis of the aging, though, because, like, Thanos' snap is probably the only reason that his grandfather's alive.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah, his grandfather should be really old.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you,
so
Phantoms.
Quill is now on Morag, and he's all dancing around. And so you see, like, the hologram of what the civilization used to be. What happened to the people on Morag? Where did they go? And then why was their civilization completely obliterated?
I believe it was confirmed that, like, the whole thing is that the place is, like, flooded over and then opens up at only a specific year. Was, like, the whole deal there. That then all the bounties, going in for that ore are on for the taking. Because, yeah, that's the ultimate defense system of, like, nobody getting one of the stones. The power stone is that, like, you can only go there, like, at this specific period of time.
So it's basically like a sunken pirate ship. It's just there for looting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Like, only, the
but what
entire
happened?
civilization suffered from this, like, devastating incident that only clears up, like, only a specific time.
So was it somebody using the Power Stone to obliterate that civilization, and it just got left there?
I don't think so. I mean, why would you like blow up a place and just leave the weapon there?
Whoopsies.
Oh, yeah, no, it was global warming for that planet. Now it is.
I don't think we're, as an audience, are really supposed to know. I think it was just supposed to be ominous. Because my guess is that James Gunn just wanted to catch the audience attention of saying like, ooh, this is a very spooky and weird place, and then like cutting the joke of playing Come and Get Your Love.
Yeah, it's sort of
Like
like
Red
setting up the tone early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subversive.
Every 300 years, the planet's like levels of water and flooding from said global warming lowers, and then people can get the stone.
And we're not getting political about the environment until Infinity War, okay? So save it for that review.
It's just space Florida.
Guardians going woke.
Of what?
Hmm?
What?
Oh, he said Guardians going woke.
Going what? Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
That
but
stuff confuses
I was trying
me.
to tell a terrible joke, and yeah, it was bad.
Don't worry, we'll fix it in post. Anyway, move on to your
Down my list?
yeah, you're on your list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So now we're moving to. That's okay. We're moving to Ronan.
Yeah.
So, what is Ronan's relationship with Xandar? Like, why does he hate Xandar?
I don't know
to
why he hates
the point
me
where
either,
he wants
but,
to.
apparently.
Well, my guess is because they mentioned that there is a treaty between Xandar and the Kree.
So, what's the Kree?
Okay, so the Kree is the race. Okay, I know you guys don't want to go here, especially my mom doesn't. Do you remember Captain Marvel?
Oh,
So-
I cannot stand Brie Larson
Okay,
in that movie.
so Kree, the planet is called the Kree, right?
No,
The
their
Kree
planet.
homeworld is what's it called?
Yeah, I believe their planet is called something else. I think Hala is the term, but Or,
Something like that.
but yeah,
Well, the point is, Captain Marvel, she was on this planet to where the
yeah,
Kree live. That's
Hala
where
is the
people
planet.
are. So kind of think of it, kind of think of it like a feud between the North and the South, to where there was a treaty, but there are like some people like on the South, they're like really bitter about like how the events took place.
Okay.
So since
Yeah, he's a extremist. Yeah.
Okay.
he's an extremist.
Okay.
So all the other movies kind of ignore this peace treaty anyway.
Yeah, so there's a part where Glenn Close, she mentions, like, we have a treaty here, but Ronan keeps coming over here and, like, killing our people. And he's like, you gotta do something about it. He's like, Ronan's not with us. We don't associate with them. That's your guys' problem. That's not our problem.
Yeah.
But they're also a bit salty about how things go between that war too. So they're not bothered because they just don't. But, what's his name? Ronan mentions that people call him a terrorist, which he is.
Yeah.
And so because he's acting out on his own against Xandar. Well, the Kree are like, we don't associate with this guy.
Okay.
He's not with us.
Okay.
He doesn't like reflect what we do. We're just being peaceful with Xandar.
Yeah.
So if he's your problem, that sounds like a you problem. So we're just gonna let you guys figure that part.
Okay, then how did he get involved with Thanos?
So with Thanos,
Yeah, because Thanos had something that he wanted, was the power to destroy Xandar with the stones. He knows how to use the gauntlet with the stones, and already was going to use all the stones together for his ultimate goal of wiping out half of all life.
That was Ronan?
So,
no. So this is Thanos. So Thanos already had the idea of going from like planet to planet to planet,
Right.
to like cut half the population so
Right.
they can help Grogan. But he figured that this is taking too long. I can do it faster if I got all the Infinity Stones and snap like that. So Ronan caught word of this, and he's like, "Hey, I want a part of this if you get rid of Xandar, and I'll like help you do whatever you want."
That makes more
And
sense.
I know they don't really
but it is
explain
a
it
deal
all
that he
too
got
well,
impatient
but, like,
with, and then betrayed Thanos. Brought one of his daughters to his side and decided to destroy Xandar himself once finding the power of the Power Stone.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Okay.
because Thanos wants the Power Stone, right? He wants all the Infinity Stones, and now since they're working together, Ronan, that's why Gamora is stationed with Ronan to make sure that they go get the Infinity Stone and then they bring it back. But throughout the movie, Ronan gets impatient because he figures, if I can hold the Infinity Stone and I can use it, then what point, or what's the point of working with Thanos if I can just do it myself?
Gotcha.
And then, since Thanos is either taking too long or he's just not doing what Ronan wants him to do, that's when he says, "I'm coming for you," after I finish Xandar. But
Okay.
he's underestimating what Thanos can do.
Okay. Well, isn't it because of Gamora? She's like also trying to steal the stone?
Yeah. So
So maybe.
Yeah, she was betraying both parties really.
So he's confused the entire time. It was like, were you trying to portray me the entire time? Which also seems confusing because if he's ordered to get the Power Stone, like, why would he get upset about it? Gamora, like, just taking the stone away from him. But I don't know, maybe he's just upset that things are just not going his way.
Well, because she's not staying in her lane and doing her job
Yeah, exactly.
and allowing him to do his job.
Mhm.
I mean, I would be pissed too.
It's basically ruining his favor with
Yeah.
Thanos.
Right.
so-
Yeah. So, and then nobody likes to be betrayed.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense now in how Ronan is linked to Thanos and then his hatred towards Xandar. So, but I did pick up on some of the stuff that Glenn Close said. And I thought it was funny because she was here talking bad about Ronan, but in other movies, she's like slaughtered rabbits and tried to tear apart families and like kill wives and stuff like that. So she's
Yeah,
a
she
psycho.
made a
Yeah.
the
She's the one
boombox.
to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, and so now Gamora has entered the scene and she's like fighting all these people and everything. Did you notice that they sped up her fight scenes?
I did. I did
and that's so
notice
annoying.
that. No, I also agree with you with Zoe Zendaya. I feel that she's very typecast when it comes to. It almost seems like to me she's like playing like either one of two characters in any other movie. Either she's playing herself or she's trying her best to be as badass as possible. But it's like the same character almost in every other movie. And that doesn't surprise me if they like speed up the action too, because usually actors, if like they're not getting the choreography like right, they'll make it faster to look more fluid. Or they'll try to speed it up to make sure that you're not noticing like the angles to where they're like maybe like they're about to fall down, or if like they are getting out of the frame like really quick. But yeah, I did notice.
I mean, it depends on the stylistic style of like motive too, because like sometimes it is done to just like hey, don't notice our mistakes, or like sometimes it's just done out of like hey, we got to speed up the sequence and I thought it looked cool. If it's at this pace.
Or like the power of the characters, like in Winter Soldier, they speed up the Captain and Bucky fight to like show like these two guys are like super.
Yeah, exactly.
fast.
Sometimes it's just done out of the fact that they have superpowers, and in this case, Gamora does indeed have them as well.
Yeah, but she's not supposed
by
to.
Thanos.
No,
right?
I mean,
no, she does.
She has superpowers.
Yeah,
Really was
she's
enhanced.
cybernetically enhanced.
She's enhanced
kind of
by
like,
Thanos.
It's
what's
not
her name? Nebula.
Yeah,
It's just
not to
that
the same
Nebula.
extent as far as the looks.
Yeah. She was cybernetically enhanced. Gamora was surgically enhanced.
Yeah, so so Nebula mentions it's in the second movie. So if you miss it, I understand. But in the second movie, she mentions that every time that she lost, it was in the second movie. So she mentions every time that she lost to Gamora, Thanos would take Nebula, put her on like the surgeon table, and like add in some like new replacements to her body to make her better. But she kept losing every time.
Right.
So that's why she's more machine than she is man. But Gamora's not, because she ends up on top the entire time. So she's basically fine like how she is as a fighter.
Well, and that was going to be one of my next questions, because she mentions to, I think, Quill, how Thanos tortured her. This is Gamora talking to Quill. I think it was Quill. And she was saying that Thanos tortured her. And I was wondering, how was she tortured? Because in the other movies, they're always portraying him as being very loving and caring and nurturing towards her.
So we just mentioned the cybernetic enhancements.
Like, yeah, she's surgically enhanced. That was part of the torture. And like Thanos may seem like a loving guy from his own POV, because Infinity War was his movie. But like that does not make what he did right, or like anything like that.
I would also consider mental
like,
torture being like her entire village being slaughtered, like right next to her too. So I would count that.
50% of them.
Yeah.
You must consider.
Yeah, that's true.
He was fair about it.
Yeah.
Hashtag Stan Thanos.
I'm only killing half of them.
What a nice guy.
Well, and he did turn her away and everything like that. But I just wondered, how else did he torture her?
So consider it.
But now I know.
Yeah, I think it's just
the
surgeries. Really, because if you're going into surgery against your will, I would consider that to be torture.
Yeah, but I didn't know. She didn't make mention that she
know.
had surgery. That's why I was very confused.
Well,
with that
yeah, but
statement.
also Rocket, like later on, mentions that like he never has to be made and like torn apart and put all over again.
Right,
so.
but you also see like all the scars on Rocket's back, and you start to understand that he went through some sort of unnecessary surgery.
For Gamora, it's like a lot of these like white marks across her body.
I
Like,
was tortured,
that
and he
was
just
more
like put like a
effective.
marker on her head.
Well, and I just thought that was like just part of
Yeah.
her makeup, or like, well, no, because didn't the other people from her planet have stuff like that?
I don't think so.
No, that was just like your simple case of your aliens just being completely
Green,
green. But
Oh, okay.
The
I
green
have to pay
gang.
more attention next time then.
Also, a quick side note: you ever notice? I know this is mostly in the comics, so you wouldn't get it, but mostly in the comics, like when it comes to like mutants versus aliens, almost like any other mutant is blue, while any other alien's green.
yeah, they got a weird
Yeah.
blue color fixation.
Yeah,
True.
that's true.
Yeah.
I thought it was just funny. But anyway, continue on with your list.
Okay. This annoyed me because, he just drives me nuts. I'm sure he's a very, very nice guy. But when they're on Xandar and they've already run through like all their fighting scenes because everybody's trying to get Quill and stuff like that, And then the one person who shows up to try to arrest them is the dude from Star Wars that I can't stand. The black kid. What's his name? The one who's like always like trying to save Rey and everything like that.
With John Boyega?
Is that his name? I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I know who you're talking about, but are you sure that was him in that movie?
was him. That was him in the in that little ship.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up because I'm pretty sure John Boyega was on.
His face was a little bit fuller, but I could have sworn that was him. And then they show him again at the end when all the little ships are like linking together.
Are you talking about the Nova Corps?
He's part of the Nova Corps.
Huh.
But he shows up to stop them fighting in that ship, and he's like, they're trying to arrest everybody and stuff like that.
I'm not seeing it. I'm pretty sure that was not him.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up. But it looked just like him, with the American accent, not his British accent.
Okay.
But okay. So, well, if it wasn't him, then fine. But let's see. Oh yeah. So just going back to Zoe Saldana. So when she's speaking and enunciating certain words, she does it at the wrong. I'm gonna try not to cuss. Freaking time.
Why the fuck are you
Hashtag
trying to
wholesome hat.
Well, because I'm your mother and I want to set a good example. But
yeah, really good. Yeah, good try there.
But it drives me nuts when she's screaming at the wrong times. It just sounds so unconvincing. And then it's unconvincing how she's supposed to be like this killer of men and slaughterer of families and everything like this. And then the next minute she's just changing sides and she wants to do good, and she calls Quill, what'd she call him? She called him despicable, dishonorable, and all this other shit. But
I mean, that was
it's like,
kind of the point, though. Like,
it's hard. I don't know. It makes such a quick transition.
Was like, yeah, she was not, though. Like, she was not being a moral figure as much as just, deciding that she couldn't stand for, this planet being destroyed like her own. But she was still going to give up the orb for the highest bidder.
Right.
And
no, I agree.
Like,
it does seem a little out of nowhere.
Brought that up to her in the Klin prison as well. So yeah, it was not really a case of like, she was the moral center of the crew per se, as that is Groot, clearly.
Right. So I mean, I don't know if it was edited out, if they actually written into the script and they just ran out of time, because it was a very long movie and they had to edit it out. But there wasn't a good transition. It was so unconvincing to see her being loyal to Thanos and helping Ronan, and then all of a sudden, yeah, she has like this moral, I don't know, just reversal, and she's wanting to help save a civilization.
It was a plan that like she was enacting already beforehand with the Collector, like before the film's event. Just
well, no, she was going to sell it off.
Yeah,
right.
that was
and you guys make a good point. Yeah.
That was already set up, is what I'm talking about there.
So here's what I think my mom is trying to say is that, like, in between selling off the stone and then it blows up the Collector's house, and then like she realizes, oh, we got to stop it. Like there should be like something in there to where it convinces her to like say like, oh, we got to stop Ronan. Because I do feel the same way too, because I would think that she would be more sympathetic like towards like genocide on a planetary level, but like it doesn't show that in the movie.
Yeah,
right.
In terms of that transition, yeah, in terms of like selling the orb to make sure that it's not like, in destructive hands, but also getting paid, and moving that to saving the galaxy, that one was more the heel turn for the entire team, which was, we gotta save the galaxy because we're one of the idiots that lives in it.
Right.
Like, that is the transition. And for her specifically in the wake-up call, like, she mentions that, like, the stone is so powerful because it destroyed the Collector's, shop just instantly.
I know that. I'm just saying that there could have been it just seems like a missed opportunity if they're going in the direction of eventually showing in Infinity War that that she has her planet, half of her planet decimated, and then like she realizes later, and she could mention in the movie like, I had my people destroyed, and I don't want to see that again.
Right.
They could have added that in the movie, but they didn't.
Yeah.
No, she did mention it to
And I
Star
think that
Lord
would
in
make
their
more
little like boarding scene was that like Thanos slaughtered her people. So they just said slaughtered. They didn't say the half of it.
Destroyed out of
Until
it. You
Infinity
left out
War.
a critical part.
Yeah, the Infinity War section on that one is later further specific.
She said that Thanos slaughtered her people, but like she didn't say like I've seen like the he could have gone fucking Last Jedi where it's like I've seen this raw strength before. It didn't scare me then. It does now. And like she like throws away
I
the
get
orb
the
and now they have to go
point
get it
of
in.
what you want there, but like it's also one that would be true for like any of the Guardians, really, of like their heel turn moments, and like you can't really do that for every character without like giving this movie like a 30 extra
I understand
minutes
that,
at the
but
very
if you
least.
But I understand that, but if you want your audience to be invested in these characters, then you gotta give them like some kind of meat to chew on, and I think that would have been like the perfect opportunity for Gamora to say, "I saw Thanos like do this like with the similar kind of power that came from the stone. I'm not gonna let this happen again." And I feel like that's
So they
all you had
also
to do.
implied that he did destroy them with the stone in Infinity War. That the flashback was before he had them. Pre-stone slaughter.
Well, still.
Uh-huh.
So it just seems like her motivation is empty because they didn't go the extra mile to let the audience know that why she wanted to sell the stone and then now protect the stone.
I would have liked a better explanation. I guess that's basically what I'm saying. And then maybe I would like her, but I still don't like her. Let's see. Going down. Oh, there's more Gamora crap. Able to break free. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I think they're still on Xandar, but and they're fighting, and Groot comes and like wraps his arms around her, and she just like breaks free from Groot's arms, from his limbs. But then when they're in the jail, she can't break free from like a group of guys who are just barely holding her back.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Because if she can like break out of like Groot's arms, and those should be pretty strong, she should be able to like break some bones.
Questioned less about the guys holding her, strangely enough, because like she was already like down herself at that point. And more how they got her out of the cell in the first place.
That's a good point
that's a
too.
good
But then again, they had like that guard who was like, take care of her in the showers. It'll be easier to clean up over there. So there could be.
I guess maybe he just like tossed them.
Yeah, probably.
Or
Oops.
Card or something.
Look what I dropped. Oh.
Hope
I
nobody
opened
picks
the
this
only
up.
private cell in existence in this prison.
Yeah, that was crazy
Oh.
jail.
Yeah.
I would not want to be there ever. That was just horrible.
Yeah.
Just
I don't think I want to be in jail either.
well, I'm just saying, in that particular type of
That's
prison.
true.
I mean, good people.
Don't be in jail.
I don't know, a co-ed jail. That's just very, very disturbing.
They're learning how to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's a progressive jail.
Yes.
No, just kidding.
No, that's pretty young. Okay, so
Yep. Only reason she was divided from the rest of them was literally just because of solitary being Thanos' daughter.
And,
so was she the only one that was set in that cell?
no, I
yeah,
think they
it's
can
like
just
literally
pick
only
up.
her have a private cell.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, everyone else is kind of just sleeping in the floor and piles.
Yeah, because
for
Yeah,
some
that's
reason.
right. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
just sleeping everywhere. So I think you can just pick a cell. Like if they said, "All right, everybody in a cell," and like they just pick one. Because I remember, and I know it's not related, but like if you've seen Chronicles of Riddick, to where like they just throw them in a hole and the cells
it's
are
kinda
just
like that.
there it, like to put them in line because they'll let these dogs go out and they'll hunt the prisoners if they're acting out of line, and they just get in a cell to protect themselves from the dogs. So I think it's kind of a situation kind of like that.
Oh, okay. So it's a choice.
Yeah.
And not so much
this
a
case,
science.
you know, instead of dogs, it's little minigun hovercraft that can attach to your command center and turn it into a little ride.
Well, Don't let the prisoners know that.
Yeah, don't let them know that. They're not supposed to know. If they don't know that, then they can't get out.
Hopefully they don't watch this podcast, or else they're screwed.
Yeah.
Just a plethora of knowledge.
Plethora.
Yeah. You guys would help them out so much.
Oh, yeah.
To escape the co-ed horrors.
For progressive jails.
Liberation fund,
Yeah,
let's
for
get it.
progressive jails. Okay, so my next question. Okay, Nebula is talking to Gamora, and she mentions out of all of their siblings, she hated her. Was it the most?
Yeah, it was the most.
So where are all these other siblings, and are they going to come back to be part of more Marvel movies?
They're going to be the Y women.
Are they all females?
No.
Yeah, Thanos does have other children. For instance, the Obsidian, Black Dwarf.
Yeah, I was gonna say what's the group that's in? What's the group in Infinity War? They're like the Black something. The Black Order. The Black Order.
Oh yeah, the Black Order.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in Infinity War, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they would. I'm guessing they would be.
They don't hang out
siblings,
for
but I mean-
Thanksgiving, but they are indeed his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean,
the
that
Black
part.
Order, the aliens that you see like fighting the Avengers before Thanos comes in, the guy who can like move stuff with his mind.
Oh yeah.
Squidward.
So and like the guy that Iron Man calls Squidward, the big guy with the big axe that the sorcerers fight, the two that fight Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, and Vision. They're trying to go after Vision. So those are Thanos' children as well.
Okay. All right.
But I'm pretty sure Nebula and I don't know if the Black Order were actually bred, because I know that Nebula and Gamora were abducted.
Yeah, it's unknown in the MCU state of things of which ones were his adopted kids, which ones were his biological kids
adopted.
beyond
So
Nebula and Gamora.
So he has biological kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He also has a brother, which you may have missed.
Even
but-
some that weren't introduced into the MCU at all, which, Some that weren't introduced into the MCU at all, which,
No, it was, and it's very forgettable if you didn't like the movie. I didn't like the movie, but it was in Eternals, and it was at the very end with Harry Styles, where he comes out in, his name is Star Fox, and he claims to be the brother of Thanos.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's at the very end, or is it in
It's
the
one of the
credits?
post-credit scenes.
Oh.
So like,
did we stay for that?
we did. So there's two of them to where like Star Fox comes out and he talks to the Eternals like, I'm the brother of Thanos. Why Harry Styles? I don't know. That's a stupid decision, but okay.
He looks just like that.
And then the
That's what
last then the last one's with Kit Harington, to where he becomes
Blade,
the Black
yeah.
Knight, and that's like an immortal like knight. And there's like a sword that's black and it moves, and then you hear Mashallah Ali's voice, and he's supposed to be Blade.
It's like it's Blade time. Yeah.
So
That
that's
seems
a different
familiar.
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, that seems familiar.
So they're setting up Black Knight, Star Fox, and Blade for later.
Okay. But is that really going to be successful?
I don't know. I heard that the script for Blade was going pretty bad because I just said his name. Mashallah Ali had problems like with the director and like the script, so it's kind of in limbo right now.
Yeah, but the rumors were also flimsy on like film terms tossed around that like are simply untrue. Like, saying that like they could tell that the action scenes were bad from the script, which like anybody who knows film knows you can't tell that.
I don't know. I mean, you can write a fight scene pretty good, and you can write a fight scene pretty poorly. I've seen.
Yeah,
things.
but the fight scenes are not written entirely from the script on, unless
It's about the choreography
even
and
stuff in,
director
like,
choice and
Inception would come down to guy punches someone. Like,
See, dude, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that someone would literally write that in a script.
yeah,
Well,
like
unless they
that
actually
is
met
not
with
a point where your
choreographer.
where your like action looks bad until like your choreography is shown. Exactly.
I don't know. We'll have to see when Blade
Yeah,
eventually
that's like
comes
a
out.
future thing.
But anyway, down with the
Anyway.
list.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So I was just mentioning Michael Rooker again. I love how Yondu has like all of his little monitos and everything. Then moving towards the end, still love the dance off. That's like my favorite part of the movie. But then once they start like grabbing the Infinity Stone, how do they know that it's going to work when she's there saying, "Peter, grab my hand"? How do they know?
It was a total gamble.
Yeah,
Total
they were just,
gamble.
yeah, they didn't know what happened.
But the one thing that did give them a slight chance of figuring it out was earlier with the Collector, they witnessed that, like,
Yeah,
like the
people
group
will
of
have
characters,
survived
yeah.
slightly.
Right, but
and,
even
like,
then, it
carrying
didn't
the
work out to
stone
their
and
favor.
Spread the energy.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it didn't. But again, it's like a
Last
lucky
ditch effort.
gamble.
Yeah, they
like,
had no other option.
yeah, basically, whatever we can do to stop this because the planet's about to explode. Like,
That makes me think, who recorded that? Like, who recorded all of those guys trying to hold the Infinity Stone together and they all died? Like, who is there? Like, well, this didn't work.
I wonder if it was the Infinity Stone.
Huh, interesting.
yeah, it seemed to be like some like cosmic portal vision kind of thing. It wasn't
Cosmic
like
cinematographer. James Gunn just
It was
going
the
around
mindset.
yeah,
documenting
it wasn't
everything.
like the Collector, like
Hey, ooh, this is
gathered,
interesting.
his VHS or like anything like that.
Do y'all even know what VHS is?
Yes.
I know what VHS is.
Oh my
I
gosh.
did.
I grew up with VHS.
I did as well.
I think you're judging the wrong age at the moment.
Okay.
Because it's not,
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
not
We are
that
old,
old
yes.
yet. It's just, but whatever. I think it'd be funny if, like, the idea of, like, the Collector, like, he actually had the footage and he was the one recording. He's
Oh,
like,
rewind
I need
it,
you
guys. You
guys
see
to
that?
hold on to this real quick.
I need to collect everything, including information.
Yes, the entire series of the Infinity Stone Chronicles. Got all of those on VHS.
Yeah, he's just got a whole record on all the ancient history.
Yes.
That would be pretty funny if, like, James Gunn did
all
something
those
like...
Odin flashbacks and Thor 2, it was the Collector.
Oh my god.
with
Popping
the,
in the VHS tapes.
I think that would
oh,
be
this
pretty
is from
funny
my
for...
buddy the Collector, Thor Odin's son. But,
Shout out to the
plug
Collector for
these in.
this one.
Here's my buddy. I might give him an Infinity Stone later just for his efforts.
Anyway, with your list?
Oh, okay. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, okay. Still in that one part right after they grab the stone. I still don't like it when Quill is calling Ronan bitch. That doesn't make sense to me.
Said it yourself.
Yeah. That
Wait,
just
wasn't he the one who?
Sounds
no, I
so
think it was
stupid.
like that. Like, I'm distracting you, big turd wasp.
Well, yeah, but he also
Otherwise-
says, like, use your mortal how. It's like,
Yeah.
You said yourself, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy, bitch.
Yeah, that sounds so
That's
stupid.
iconic though. It's such a great line.
Yeah, I think that was just like Gunn wanting to include swear words in the movie.
Yeah.
I think
That's
James
kinda-
Gunn's like, just, you know what, just come up with a really good insult. And, like, Chris Pratt being Chris Pratt was like, okay, I'll insult him.
Yeah, it's also like improv. That's also a combo of it. But like as the movies went on, he's also like super proud of it too. Of like claiming that like Guardians 3 was his first F-bomb
Open the fucking door!
for the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So it's like
I know
yeah,
that
it's
one.
not true.
That one I feel
the
that was
first
direct.
uncensored full, yeah, like instead of like, what the yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be a family movie, and I'm
Yeah.
trying not to look at it as a mom, but just, objectively as an audience viewer. Why incorporate all that in a family movie where little kids are going to be watching it, and they are going to repeat everything that they see
Oh,
in
yeah.
that movie? It just
There's 100% kids in
Well-
2014 who were, shouting out, "We're the Guardians of the Galaxy."
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
No,
yeah,
I-
it is PG-13, so in theory, but of course, kids are going to show up and watch it. But in theory, it still is, the ratings like
It's
sort
the
of protects
arbitrary
them for that.
hacks of the NPAA.
Yeah, it's sort of a
It's like-
protection for them. Like they know kids will see it, but it's PG-13, so they can't.
Well,
really complain.
still, like, I completely agree with you on this, mainly because at the time, I want to say that was around when Disney bought Marvel, And you would think that they would be more conscious about like,
Right.
the people. It's not like DC to where
Yeah,
they
it
can
was
go
one
off
of
the
the first
rails.
releases, and then it was their mature one
Right.
with like a time switch.
Because like with DC, like they don't have to play by the rules of Disney, like, and they didn't.
Well, mainly because they love
made-
bragging about their R-rated extended edition.
Right.
So.
Well, not just that, but also they were ballsy enough to come out like with Joker and say this is like strictly for adults, and then you have like, what is it? The Suicide Squad, to where it's like this is strictly for adults, and then you have Peacemaker to where it's like strictly for adults.
I can't stand Peacemaker. That's horrible. Couldn't make it through the first episode. Turned it off. But yeah, no, it just really surprised me because I think that was Disney's first actual motion picture film in which they pushed the limits, especially with the language. And I don't know, I just still thought that it was
It's
not
an odd choice.
Yeah.
To allow, because I understand that Kevin Feige, like his job is to make sure that like everything stays like within continuity, which of course he hasn't really been doing a good job of, but whatever. But I would think that he would like want to go up to James Gunn and be like, no, James, you can't say that because the kiddies are watching. But
I mean, Iron Man 1, though. And, like,
Well,
all
yeah,
of
but-
the
but-
MCU, to be honest, really.
well, I mean, like for a certain point, it not belonged, but like they were being produced by Paramount. So, and I think I want to say,
Yeah.
it was Thor: The Dark World, to where they officially got bought by Disney, and then you would think that Disney
That
would
was
want to
the
like.
official point.
You would think that Disney would want to come out and say like, okay, we're gonna have to be like a little bit more considerate about like the use of sentence enhancers for these movies, but for some
I
reason
don't
they
really
didn't.
think that they did, mainly on the aspect of not wanting to be controlling with the product. That way they could still
Yeah.
yield the same amount of success.
Putting the
What are you
creator
talking
to the
about? They are
face.
like completely controlling like what
I
like how
mean-
the movies are brought
But
out.
you should
Yeah,
see
they
the control
have,
level
but
that
later
Paramount
on,
had with, like, Iron Man
they're not
2.
going to do it like initially of like, they own the product and then suddenly like everything changed. I mean, for some stuff that they did instantly, like the cartoons, like, yeah, they exerted their control as soon as they could. But like, not everything was like, because they wanted like the mainstream movie crowd to still go to these things and not feel that something was different from the experience that was making like billions of dollars. So that's why like the next product was the mature spy thriller and the comedic swears bunch sci-fi film.
Well, yeah, you can have like mature themes and you can have mature themes in a movie, but you don't have to like go as far as to like to add in as many sentence enhancers as possible and still keep a PG-13 rating. You can be smart about it, but I guess they don't want to go that extra mile.
Swearing a whole bunch does not like make the product like more mature, but yeah, it's not something that is necessary, whether it is censored or not. They just chose not to. In this case, because of the whole creative freedom policy that has worked so well for the MCU at that point, in terms of like allowing your director to exert the amount of control of their free spirit, but still stay within the confines of what the Marvel Cinematic Universe continuity was doing.
Yeah, so about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I would say that was 10% of creative control for Sam Raimi?
Sam Raimi got his jump scares in. So.
Yeah, he got his crazy Dutch angles and stuff, and his wild motion.
Is that the most recent one, right?
That was
Where
the
they
most
made it,
recent Doctor Strange.
yeah, they made
Yeah.
it kind of like horror. Like,
Yeah, kind
So
of.
that is
Yeah.
what
No,
Sam Raimi would
if
want to
Sam
do.
Raimi, so Sam Raimi is the director of Evil Dead, right? Of like the
Oh.
Evil Dead franchise
Okay.
for most of it, and he goes fucking balls to the wall, like when it comes to horror and gore. Like he's even more gory than Quentin Tarantino is. Because like, Quentin Tarantino like does it like on a ridiculous level to where it
yeah, like
looks
it's more-
ridiculous, but
yeah,
like,
comedic.
he will like Sam Raimi, if he wanted to, he could reenact the entire like blood hallway scene like from The Shining and then add on even more. He loves to play with that kind of stuff. So if he had total control of Doctor Strange, it would look completely different. I think like
Well, yeah,
the
for
creepiest
sure.
thing that he could add in there was probably zombie Doctor Strange.
Right.
And like that's like the only thing that he could really get away with.
Well, I don't know. When she was
Uh,
like going through like this tunnel or whatever, and
It was like, yeah.
like the cinematography for that. That kind of creeped me out.
The whole destruction of like the Illuminati was pretty.
Yeah, there's a difference there though of like, you know, like giving your directors your creative freedom for one final swear word for the climax, and also like allowing them to do whatever they want of like stuff that's outside of the limits of even the arbitrary kinds of PG-13. Even Gunn probably wanted to do stuff that he couldn't.
Oh yeah,
and like
I'm
could
pretty
for stuff
sure.
like Guardians of the the Suicide Squad. But yeah.
Oh yeah, like compared to the Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy, like they definitely let James Gunn have a lot more creative freedom there. There's like all the stuff he could add in there.
Yeah.
Let's say like
But
King
it's
Shark
not
eating
exactly
people.
a bad thing for that because, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy don't eat people necessarily by comparison.
I mean,
you know,
I never know.
are not that level of criminals, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, Suicide Squad is definitely have darker characters.
Yeah, you gotta have stuff that matches the story that you're doing. Like, you know, you give the director creative freedom so that way they don't feel bitter and like pissed off afterwards and still have a fun time with their stuff, but still in a reasonable degree fitting what story you're doing.
I know that, but how about this? Do you think James Gunn, if they allowed him to do this, would pass up on the opportunity of letting Rocket Raccoon blow up some guy's head with a gun?
No, he'd totally do that.
See
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he loves that
he'd
stuff.
probably still do that. They'd probably have some sort of compromise with that, depending of it being an alien, because, you know, aliens.
That's exactly my point, though. It's
or laser blast or something. But yeah.
And probably make the blood all green, and it's coming from a laser. But anyway, back to your list.
Oh no, the one last thing that I had beef with, and I think you had mentioned it way back when, is the last song of the movie before we hit the credits is on the Mix Volume 1.
That is correct. Okay.
But it's on the Mix Volume 2 cassette.
So this is more...
Which is really
I think they just
confusing.
really wanted to round out the movie, really. Like, you know, that was kind of
because like...
with the soundtrack.
Yeah, because my folks, they bought the CD to Guardians of the Galaxy, but they added...
Jerry bought
Jerry.
it, yeah, for Mother's Day, I think, or my birthday.
Okay, so my brother, he bought it for my parents, and then... But they have the Jackson 5 on there, even though Peter pulls out Awesome Mix 2, which I get it's supposed to be like from the movie, but it's like you established it's going to be on the next one for the next movie, so it's like whatever.
Yeah, I could understand that. There's a lot of detail.
Awesome Mix Volume 2 in the
Volume 1,
Marvel
Volume
Cinematic
2
Universe's
Congo.
world. Just like, yeah, they combine it in that universe. You know, just one
Whatever, it's
last song
just
from the
small
old
nitpick.
playlist put onto the new playlist for some reason. That's the personal redundancy that Peter's mom decided to add before her death.
Well, she was sick.
Yep.
Oh, it's that old cancer brain coming to
There you go.
get you in your mixtapes.
There you go.
Yep.
So that was it. That was my list. Thank you for answering my questions, because some of the stuff like plagues me, and I have to ask the boys over and over again to explain all the stones and what they do and who has what where, and so yeah.
Tell you the
Who's
truth,
Adam
though,
Warlock?
we still don't know what the Soul Stone does in the MCU. So.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Well, I feel better.
No, it like you're absolutely right, because in the comics, like you can basically like control anybody. You can look into like basically anything like their soul has to offer. But like in the movies, it's just kind of there. It's like, oh crap, we need a 6th stone, and
we
the
got
Mind
it.
Stone kind of like does part of like the Soul Stone. So it's like, it's just there. Thanos needs it.
And all you gotta do to get the Soul Stone is just push somebody off of a cliff
No, you got to push off somebody that you
love.
Yeah,
But
'cause
you just
otherwise-
push them off of a cliff.
Because, yeah, it would be easy if you just push anyone off the list.
Wait, I do that.
All right, I nominate
So I
you,
could
Red
have my
Skull.
pick. I could push you or your brother or your dad
Yep.
off
there
the
you go.
cliff, and then I would get the
There
stone.
we go, yeah.
Well,
Got
the
some
Guardian, Red Skull, he does mention like you gotta sacrifice like something that you love because it's a soul for a soul.
And considering
What
how
about a
easy that
song
choice
for a
was,
song?
It's a soul. If you love the dog, I'm pretty sure you can get the soul stone if you just.
So if Feely pisses again, I just push him off.
Off the cliff.
And then, I
Getting
get the soul stone.
don't make me
You're doing this
sacrifice you
'cause
for
I
the
love
soul stone.
I'm just thinking. Random thoughts.
Contingencies.
The intrusive thoughts are winning.
So, what did you guys think of it? I mean, I'll get back to you in a second, but I wanted to bring up something. So I agree with Gamora. Well, I agree with my mom about Gamora. I don't really like Zoe Zendaya as Gamora because I think other people have played her better, especially like say like in the recent Guardians game, like Kimberly Sue Murray. I thought she had a great voice for it, and like even like her stature too. I think she would have been a great Gamora. But like one thing that bothers me about the Guardians, especially in the first movie, is I mean, as much as I think he's a good actor in different movies, I think Dave Bautista, it doesn't really deliver his lines on the well. He tries in the movie, but there are like some areas and like some deliveries that I just feel that he doesn't do too well on. It later progresses like in the other movies to where he gets a little bit more comfortable with the character, but like in the first movie itself, it just feels like there are some deliveries that Dave Bautista just does not nail. It's pretty frequent, especially like with the one joke that it never really makes me laugh. It just because Drax shouldn't know what this is, but like it's the part where they're breaking out of the prison and he's like, "Come on, we got to get out of here." It's like, "No, we got to wait for the orb because Peter has it." And then he goes to get his Walkman back, and he comes back, and then like Drax is like praising him like with. Saying like he's like a brave warrior. He's like, "What did you go get bring back?" And he shows him his Walkman. He's like, "You're an imbecile." He's like, "But why would he call him that?" It's like, why he should not know what a Walkman is.
Yeah. Well, no, in Volume 2 that they explain that he does know music.
Yeah. So
It's like, yeah.
so what?
So that was one part that they keep on continuing forward.
Well, I understand that he knows that, but like if he shouldn't know that that's a music player. Because if he doesn't really listen to music...
Yeah, that's sort of, I guess, your typical sci-fi thing where, like, aliens just recognize our stuff because we're the most important people in the galaxy.
I would, yeah. I would think it would have been funnier if he was
True.
like, what have you retrieved? Such you brave warrior. He's like, what is this? And then he just cuts.
So, like, you're saying that he should not know what it is?
Well, because he calls Peter an imbecile.
Right.
Because
right.
he retrieved his Walkman. He
Right.
didn't retrieve like a weapon because Drax was like expecting like a weapon or something like that, or like getting something like really big, like some kind of bounty.
We don't know what he assumed, but yeah, that he was grabbing something valuable of some kind.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And how did he know it was not valuable?
Exactly, that's my point. Is because if he doesn't know what this thing is, he definitely does not know that this is a music player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I assume he didn't know of just like the general sci-fi notion that like all alien music players would look like ours.
Especially dated back from the 80s.
Yeah, especially from the 80s.
Yeah. All the galaxy, they're going off of 80s style audio equipment,
I should have known better.
For all time.
No wonder Taika Waititi went into an 80s direction for Thor Ragnarok.
He knew.
Well, yeah, the universe is playing it. They're playing that beat 24/7.
Well, hell, even over in Ireland, that's all they listen to is 80s music.
That is true.
They don't listen to modern day music. So
Even on Earth, that is the case. Yeah, might as well be for the rest of the universe.
No, that makes sense.
Universal law.
Space just never got out of the 80s. But anyway, that's just my
Bad moments.
that's just my 2 cents on criticism. What do you guys think about the first movie?
Oh, yes. I guess you could say that with the movie, I am hooked on a feeling and I am high on believing because I think it's pretty damn good. It's the weakest part for me is definitely Ronan because Ronan, you can sort of understand some of his motivation, but he's not like the strongest villain of the MCU. He's pretty cool, but he's more of like an intimidating force for the Guardians to assemble to and beat up rather than like a super nuanced villain necessarily. But I think like the
It's
strength
far
of it is
better as like we went back to him and like Captain Marvel and stuff.
I'm
here,
gonna
it's
drop
not
some
that
bombs.
Oh yeah. I was so excited to see Ronan the Accuser again do absolutely nothing in
That was
Captain
one of
Marvel.
my favorite parts of the movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he at least got his like cool outfit though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here
man,
it's just sort of like
So
goth
that's what he looks
vibes.
like without his eye makeup.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, a normal movie is fine, but with Wii pace, there you go. Keeping a pace up with the movies, as they say. But yes, so I will say that Ronan was definitely the weaker part of the movie for me. I don't mind him. I like him, but he isn't like necessarily like on my top like 5 favorite movie villain lists, I guess. But I think the strength of it is definitely like the focus on the Guardians and sort of how they come together to save the galaxy. So I think that was really a strength of it, and James Gunn's unique style really just fits well with the characters, taking these like group of nobodies and really making them a household name, because the Guardians weren't really like super well known at the time. They had comics, they had the comics from 2008, and they had 2013 or whatever with Bendis, but and then of course like comics in the past too from the 70s and whatnot, but they weren't like super well known. But now you can like, if you run onto anybody on the street, you can ask them like about the Guardians, and it's probably fairly likely that they'll know who they are, and very influential as far as like not only just Guardians of the Galaxy media itself with like the animated TV series from Disney XD, and of course the games, I should say, there's multiple games. Also, like influential on other superhero stuff too, like really taking these groups of nobodies and really making them into something, like with Suicide Squad, with David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Really, they wanted to make it more like James Gunn's. That was their answer to the Guardians of the Galaxy. So then when they're like, hey James, instead of like trying to get somebody to make a James Gunn movie for us, let's just get James himself, go to the source. So there you go. So it's very much like a pretty influential movie as far as its style and its ability to take these unknown characters and push them into the limelight and to get into people's minds and become people's favorite characters in some instances.
Yeah, basically open the floodgates of just like, hey, if we can adapt like these like complete unknowns to people now, we can go with like any
Bring in
character.
Ant-Man. Yeah. Give us Shang-Chi. Let's get it.
I didn't realize that until now. I mean, I recognized that Suicide Squad was supposed to be a response to Guardians of the Galaxy, but then it's like, okay, well that didn't work all too well. Just get Guardians of the Galaxy to do Suicide Squad again this time.
Get man, put man here. Make man, make project for us.
Why didn't we do this earlier?
Right? It was that easy.
Actually, been confident maybe at our third movie.
Yeah, so...
And yeah, it's quite an influential process for sure.
Yeah, even like I'd say so far as like, of course Taika Waititi has its own style too, but I feel like if I had to guess that Ragnarok kind of felt like sort of like somewhat of an inspiration, Guardians inspired, and like sort of taking this franchise that wasn't doing the greatest, like people weren't really super keen on Thor or Dark World, and trying to reinvent it in a more fun way, something that sort of feels familiar, perhaps like sort of Guardians-esque. So yeah.
And I really appreciated that. I liked Thor Ragnarok because of the fact that it had the same type of elements that Guardians had.
Yeah, there you go. So it can work sometimes. And sometimes it can fail very badly.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it can work as a third entry, and then it can fail really bad as a fourth entry.
Or you talk
a
about
life
the
lesson.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
that was fun though. I thought it was fun.
It is.
I mean, was it the
fun.
best one? No, but it was fun.
It does that fun quality to it, at least. Yeah.
It can be fun, but like when I went back and looked at it like from a writer's perspective, like it stunned me. Like just like
Imagine taking the best Thor villain and not using him at all.
Why? Who's the best Thor villain?
Gore,
the God Butcher.
God Butcher.
Yeah.
So Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Oh,
He in the comics, I mean, he's one of the more recent Thor villains, but the way that he's written, a lot of people like really like them. But the way that he's written in the movie is not like the source material.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
they
have
make
to go
him sort
back.
of like the gesture type villain, and they don't really use him at all. There's like some cool moments, I guess, but they sort of waste like freaking Christian Bale.
There's a
mainly.
lot of like
Yeah.
cool visual moments for sure.
Yeah, like the monochromatic stuff, like on the moon or whatever, is really cool. So I'll give you that.
No, I'll get more into it when we're off this episode, or when we go to
The
review-
gore episode.
Yeah, the Thor episode.
It'll be gory. Yeah, I'm like I was impressed with this one. Of like, in retrospect, with all the stuff that it had to accomplish. Like, it set up things not only for the Infinity Saga overall, and like setting up what its main focus is going to be for the entire thing until Infinity War and Endgame. With the Infinity Stones, like actually being introduced as a concept to the audience, and for some of the main characters of that saga. But at the same time, like, it's setting things up even beyond the cosmic mythos of like the Celestials, really introducing Thanos beyond a smirk and wink, and like, yeah, like in addition to also introducing like this team of superheroes that are going to be their own like heroic journey for an entire trilogy. Like, all of that has to be done at once, and like successfully with major character development of like each of the characters did like arguably really well for their first entry. Like, the thing that like I don't like is them changing said narrative in retrospect because like of like what we always meant to do, kind of thing. Right now, you know, we got the thing with Volume 3 of like, you know, oh, Rocket was the actual main character of this thing the full time.
Well,
yes, our introduced 15 minutes in, Rocket Raccoon.
I mean, the final shot of Guardians 2 is literally Rocket, so besides the post-credit scene, so there's that. And he's also like, he's pretty, he fills out
Volume
the B
2
plot pretty well.
Volume 2, I believe that, for sure. Like, him being a part of that film was true. Like, even the first film's entry was Blue Sky, and then we learned that, like, that was a super important part of the past. So, like, Volume 2, I do feel that, like, that is legit an event, that they did plan to make Rocket the unknown sort of to the audience main character of this franchise.
Yeah,
back
he's pretty much like a nobody character. Like, James really helped shape him out, which is cool.
I think James Gunn just liked him because he was shouting a lot, and Bradley Cooper was like shouting a lot, and he's like, "Hey, I like this guy a lot."
We both are shouting.
Good old Bradley Cooper shout. But yeah, they were not planning it that early with stuff. There was elements of the first film upon rewatch that, like, you know, doesn't entirely add up to their later vision of Rocket. Like, Lila was mentioned in his files under the Nova Corps when, like, they couldn't have possibly known that.
That's true, yeah.
Like, under the later information that we learned, unless, like, because either they do know about Lila or they know about Teefs and Floor. You can't pick both.
Yeah. The High Evolutionary sent them an email, but he left out a few things.
Oh, BTW. He has this girlfriend named Lila.
I totally killed her, bro.
Any of my other experiments.
Are you talking about when, in the first one, when they were going like through their profiles and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They mentioned information that was like mainly based around their comic book past, because like Lila is a big like love interest for Rocket in the comic, but they didn't introduce her into the movies yet, obviously, until like part 3.
So the part that she's talking about is like when they're analyzing all of the Guardians before they're the Guardians. It's like showing like a list of stuff, and one of the aliases on rockets, it says people known as Lila, but nobody. The way that the third movie is made, nobody should really know who Lila is.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of like how they display it as like a confidential experiment deal, because like, you know, the High Evolutionary owns like all the like species trademarks for like a lot of the galaxy, like for the majority of it. So that kind of scandal going out, like, yeah, that would not look good on him. in terms of how they displayed their like narrative puzzle on that now. But back then, it's just a fun little piece of comic book trivia when it comes to Rocket. Like, there wasn't as much inconsistencies on that for the other Guardians, minus maybe Groot, because they misspelled his species, I think. By calling him a Flora Colossus instead of Flora Colossi. They also mentioned that he's a human tree when he's actually from the planet X.
Good lord, how much time do you invest in this? This is like
This is the entire way.
highly detailed.
Yeah,
I watched these movies
have-
like maybe
I
5,
don't
6
have a lot.
times, and yesterday and today, I just started taking notes, and I would have never even
crazily
noticed that.
enough, I only watched this film 3 times. So.
Wow.
So
Is that
Victor is-
detail oriented, I guess?
He works in film, so
Oh, okay.
like he's very.
I do that as well. But,
Yeah, but he also
He also
really likes
is
comic
James
books.
Gunn as well.
oh yeah, that too.
He's-
I'm
he's-
James Gunn.
He stalks James Gunn in his free time.
I mean, who doesn't really, though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. But who doesn't like go to his house and look and see what he eats for his dessert? And,
Yeah. You know?
next
Exactly.
if he's out of the house, so he can sniff his
Mm.
pillow.
It's a hobby, right?
Yeah, totally normal.
Everybody's got to have a hobby, right? So, nothing wrong.
The way I keep him busy.
Yeah,
Alright,
he's
so-
already finished the Superman script, right? So he's got to have something on his mind.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna have a lot more DC projects, especially with more Superman. But unfortunately, we are over our time, so I'm gonna say thank you very much, Mom, for coming onto the show. Finally,
Thank you for finally having me.
Yes, after you properly asked.
Very fun.
I have been your host, the Funny Hatter. Joining me with my co-hosts are Christopher, the Z-Man, and Victor, the
Hey.
X-Men. Everybody say bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us.
Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy. Its taste is on my mind.